Well, I'm Jarrod Beglinger. I was born and raised here in Wisconsin and moved to Madison about 6 months ago. The Office for Lost Objects is really pretty focused on industrial design and furniture in particular, and that's something that I've been interested in design since way back as part of my personal life, just making furniture. And then obviously as I grew as a designer and was exposed to a lot of different influences, my furniture design changed a lot. But the Office for Lost Objects is really focused on that area of design and really looking at sort of how I can integrate conceptual design and thinking into sort of real objects, furniture that people interact with every day. One of the things that I was interested in studying at the time was some trends in culture and society. In particular, our changing relationship with food and how we eat, how we cook, and things like that. So for example, it's well documented that the time that we're spending cooking is dramatically being reduced from 50s through present day, and it's even going down further. Also looking at the places where we eat. Everybody is familiar with a dining table and the idyllic scene of a properly set up dining room and a table with the place settings, but so many times in contemporary culture we eat on the run, or we eat at the event of a family member. We're just so busy doing so many things. So I took my curiosities about all these trends in society and culture and really expressed them through the design of physical objects and furniture. And what I did for my thesis was a series of 3 dining tables, and they all expressed sort of my curiosities and thoughts about how these trends are changing the way that we relate to each other, we relate to food, and we relate to some of the the really well-known rituals in our lives. Well, what I'm really interested in is what's generally understood as the supernormal. And this is a sort of design movement or a design theme that is not very widespread. It's not a huge movement, but there are some really amazing designers, talented designers like Jasper Morrison, Naoto Fukasawa, who really started this kind of idea about objects that are really very normal, very quiet, and yet they have this kind of great innate quality that sort of elevates them a little bit. So I'm very interested in that area. Not interested in making things which are really loud and ostentatious and trendy, but finding really an essence in something, finding things that people see every day and showing it to them in a new way maybe, making things that last a really long time, bringing a real degree of craftsmanship into every object is basically the area that I'm working in. I almost never sketch. I can sketch okay, but I prefer to start working in 3D right away. And I can make models out of paper, cardboard, inexpensive materials like MDF or plywood. And I really like to start seeing the scale and proportion of form as soon as possible. For me, it's really important, that level of craftsmanship. I think it's something that is starting to get lost a little bit in contemporary society. And it just has such a beauty and a value that it's really important to me to express that in the objects I'm designing. I went to the Netherlands to study because I was very interested in conceptual design, and it's much more prevalent and much more understood in Europe and in the Netherlands in particular. And when I came back to the States after school, it was kind of like a huge letdown. It's just not practiced here very much. In design school in the States, industrial design students, for example, are typically focused on being prepared for life in a corporate job, very skill-oriented design educations, and the more conceptual, abstract thinking is just not as prevalent here in the States. Well, I think there's just a bit of a lack of cultural awareness and understanding about design in general and its impact and the impact it can have. And I think as people start to become more aware of sort of more basic levels of design and the impact it can have, then that understanding can sort of grow and expand. What I really want to do with the Office for Lost Objects is create furniture that can be mass-produced and sold. So that brings you into a specific sphere of things that people need to understand easily and want to have around all the time. So my exploration into the conceptual side of it will be much more subtle and toned down, but I still want to bring that in and make pieces that have a uniqueness, a unique concept, and a unique character